what our program looks like in the classroom. We're going to go over how to read through these. There's two types. There's these are our lesson plans. Then we're going to go into talking about setting up your classrooms in your different spaces that you teach in. I'm going to teach you a lesson, and then we're going to go over it and answer questions. All right. So I need you guys to have it. I want to tell you a little bit about Living Muse. If you haven't figured it out already, we are a movement-based learning. Whether it's PE, whether it's music, it doesn't matter. We move. Kids get excited when they move. They learn more when they move. And they learn more, they make lasting learning gains when they feel like they're playing when they move. So, that was an awesome, like I'm nervous segueing out of Mr. Pangrassi because he gets you excited, he makes you feel like a PE teacher, and then I have to be like, no, you teach music, not PE. So, just remember that even though we want our kids to be moving every 5 to 10 minutes, it is a class. We always need to focus on our standards, whatever we're doing, and we're not just this fun break for the classroom teachers to move into. Okay, so we're going to go right into setting up the classroom. You could be in your own classroom, which is so magical. You have your own whiteboard, and you might have a space to keep your stuff. That didn't happen to me my first year. It happened last year, and thankfully I have my own classroom this year. I'm also in a gym, in a cafeteria. Heather teaches in a hallway. Sometimes you might get thrown outside. So always remember that you need to pick up your stuff and be able to move, maybe in 5 minutes. So being flexible and portable is key. You always need to have your 6 buckets out. Now I've seen your 6 buckets arranged in different ways. Always try and get them color coordinated. That reinforces a Common Core standard in kindergarten. For AG-BIB, it's in their colors. I kind of keep them in the same station area, red on this side and then all the way around. Then I switch it up and the kids get all freaked out. Blows their mind. Move the color buckets. If you grab hula hoops, I've seen teachers do a hula hoop around the bucket and then they'll lay the equipment inside of the hula hoop. Heather sometimes does, maybe it's Heather or Leanne prior to you guys, she would make them in a semicircle and she would call them campfires, and the kids would sort of huddle around the bucket in the hula hoop, making a campfire. So that is your choice. I am very organized, so I like 6 buckets on 3 on each side, and my kids sit in rows in between the buckets. Okay? So it's really important that every class, every day, you got your buckets. And there's always something in your bucket. Don't just have it. Every class, every day, inside my buckets are scarves and egg shakers. Always scarves and egg shakers. So, and I will add to the bucket when I need to, but I always keep eggs and scarves in the bucket. Just in case I want to spice up that lesson, that maybe one needs a little more extension, they can go to the bucket and I always know that they're there. So, things to think about when you're going through your lesson. What makes learning fun? Any ideas? What makes learning fun? How can we make a concept fun, engaging, and on task? Enthusiasm, smile, organization, focus. All of those things lead a student to the task at hand, the content at hand, the standard at hand, and as well, they're kind of tricked into it by having a good time. So, I have a very specific routine for each class, each day. That routine is something the students become familiar with. They see it, they know what's going to happen. I'm going to greet them at the door. We're going to maybe sing a song as they greet in. They're going to find their assigned spot. They're going to sit. We're going to say hello. We're going to go over quickly what we're going to do in 30 seconds. Then we start. That's the routine. They see me. They see these buckets. They're in their color spots. They're ready. You need to set up that routine. So important. That first 2 weeks of school, those first 2 lessons, building that routine will pay off so much for the rest of the year. Really getting that routine for those kids. Whatever your routine may be. Mine, greeting them at the door, getting them in their spot, saying hello. You might have a different way. You might sing them in. You might let them sit in their own space. I know PE is really big on allowing own space. I'm not that big on own space at the beginning. I'm like, let's sit in our spot. But you can be like, we're going to find our own space. We need to teach them what that own space is. So, whatever your routine is, make it yours. It's your classroom. What I really like about these lessons and routines is you're setting up anticipation. They know what's going to happen. Then you sort of surprise them with the activity. You give them time to explore. Then you're moving that time to explore into a sense of adventure. There's always a creative element at the end of each lesson where they can pair up with a partner. They can go into a small group. They can go into their own space. It's up to them. It's their time to be creative and explore, and that's so important. That is my biggest challenge, is getting some of these kids out of that learning path and sitting in structure to explore the concept of creativity. It's hard. It's a hard one. All right. You ready to do a lesson? Yes. So, we are kindergarten. I happen to really like kindergarten. Kindergarten is the slowest for me to start. TK, pre-K, kindergarten, first grade. It's the slowest to get starting because I like them to really get familiar with the routine. And as you know, you're all teachers. Kindergartners struggle with routine at the beginning. You sort of have to really reinforce it. So, I want you guys to stand by the door and I'm going to bring you into the lesson. Nope, leave it all there. So, we're doing the first lesson of kindergarten. It's so good to see you. help me. The reason I do spots is I have a big binder that sits right next to me. Big old binder that sits right next to me, has every kid's name in their spot. And I flip the page over, it's the next class. I have 12 classes in one day. There's no way I'm going to remember all those names. So I can say, Natasha sits here. You sit there. Get the idea? That's why I do spots. I know it's a little easy. So, next part of our intro is rules. Boys and girls, can you help me read the board? It says, welcome, kindergarten. Who are you? Kindergarten. Awesome. So this sign is for you. It says, welcome to music class. So, this is a classroom, and I'm a teacher, which means we have some rules. Would you like to hear my classroom rules? They're pretty cool. And since it's music class, I'm going to sing the rules. Can you sing after me? And then you're going to see me go like this. And that means it's your turn to sing. When you see fingers on me, it's your turn to listen. Ready? Listen, listen, be safe, be safe. Whoa, 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 can you count? Do that again and count with your fingers. Listen, listen, be safe, be safe, be respectful, be respectful. Do your best, do your best. Have fun. Your turn. Okay, and you can go through that in a lot of ways. You can, if you don't feel like singing and you want to say it the first time, because encouraging them to sing is a little hard in kindergarten, you can have them stand. Let's stomp our feet and do our rules, okay? You can drag that out a little bit. You can get into partners if you want. It might be a little chaotic in kindergarten, but you can do it a lot of different ways. So those are your rules. They carry through 8th grade. So always go over your rules right after you've been seated. So they remember that this is a class. You are a teacher, it's a room, you've got rules. Respect those rules. And I always go through them for about 5 lessons, 6 lessons, that's 6 weeks. And then when they get to about Christmas time, if you're doing a Christmas concert, I just go over them again. When everybody's misbehaving or whatever, I can't control the situation, I say, sit down, hold up your fingers, listen to the rules again, and we go back on task. So that's kind of my way to bring everybody back together. If a group isn't doing well, if I'm not seeing something happen, and it's really cool. So those are our rules, it's our intro. Now, making a circle is kind of hard. So we've got a fun little song that goes like this. Boys and girls, do you know that big ocean we have over there? Does anybody know that grass that lives at the bottom of the ocean? Put your hands up like this. Do you know the name of that grass? It's called seaweed. I want you to close your eyes and you can float like seaweed. Very cool. Now I want you to sing after me. At the bottom of the sea, all the fish are swimming, here and there and everywhere. Whoa, breathe. Now I'm going to call you by a row, and you're going to stand up and transform into fish like this. And you're going to follow behind me. You have a class before the lesson asks you to call students by name. I have classes where I have 41 kindergartners. 41 kindergartners. It takes way too long, and I do not have the patience for 41 kindergartners. They get bored if you call them out one by one. So I do rows, and that puts us in a circle. Okay? So let's try it again. Can we be fishes in the sea? Ready? The swimmiest sea grasses will get called first. Okay, ready? At the bottom of the sea, all the fish are swimming. Louder and everywhere. Oh, row 1. Stand up. See my fishes? Follow me. Can we sing now and tip to our feet? Ready? At the bottom of the sea, all the fish are swimming. Here and there and everywhere. Oh, boys and girls, did you notice that we made a circle? Look at your feet and sit down. Here's what else happens. And you can sing it a few ways. So that is the part one of your activity, getting them moving, getting them singing, introducing them to singing, introducing them to circle space. We do a lot of circle space, and it's hard to get them in that mentality of we go from here, we go from there. Now that they're in their circle, we start with our second song, and this is where the content comes in. So the content of this lesson is discovering or identifying singing with high and low voices. So you've got low voices, high voices. Got it? The song we do that with is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive. 1, 2, you let them go. Everybody put your hands on the floor and sing 1, 2, 3. Are you using your big voice like your dad? Can you use your big dad voice? 1, 2, you let them go. Which finger did he bite? Can I hear you? Which finger did he bite? It's the finger on my waist. Ready? It's the finger on my waist. Very cool. So that's your high and low content. And you can ask students, you've definitely learn their names, call them up, come on over to me, maybe one on each side, and have them practice with you. You can do it standing, you can do it sitting, every way. Now, this is the part where I challenge my students to remember. Boys and girls, do you remember those special spots we put you in? Do you think you can go back to those spots and if I count you down, you can do it sideways? Are you ready for the green light words? Okay. Very cool, boys and girls. Excellent job. Have a seat in your spots. Now, did you guys notice my special buckets around the room? Now, one of my rules is listen. Wait, can we go through all the rules again? This is where the part 1, 2, let's go. Put your hand to the side. That's my finger. So you're reinforcing the concepts with instruments, the instruments that you choose to use. You could do it with sticks if you wanted to, and tap your sticks. You could do it with scarves. You could do it with tambourines. It's whatever instrument you feel like you want to use that particular class. I just happen to like things. Boys and girls, you did such an excellent job. We are ready to move on to our last song. Do you think you could quietly put your eggs away just like you got them? Awesome. Go. Wow, I really like how Natasha came back to her spot and sat down. So, that is the part 2, bless me by your concept. You're reinforcing that concept with instrument in whatever variety of ways you want to do. Part 3 of your lesson is sort of the extension of the content. Sometimes I don't always get to part 3. That's okay, especially the first couple weeks when you're spending so much time going through procedures and routines. Part 3 can get left out. Or maybe they're having a really great time, they're really focused in part 2, and you want to add another instrument to make it more complex. Go for it. I'm not saying that part 3 is not important. It is. It's in there for a reason. But don't cut an activity short or skip over an activity just so you can get to that last part. Okay, so I always do fish because I'm a super bad drawer. Can you tell me how many fish I drew on the board? And someone tell me the difference between the 2 fish. One is big, one is small. Then we sing our last song, which is an owl song, but I just take too long to draw owls and draw fish. It doesn't care what there are. And we sing our last song, and we will use instruments. At the last one, I use scarves to reinforce the concepts of big and small. Okay, so that is the first lesson, first day, kindergarten. They all have that sort of same routine. It's not until middle school where it starts getting a little different. So that's our lesson. And then I have the entire Unit 1 curriculum printed out. Now, some of you are super tech savvy and you work better on computers or iPads or whatever. That's cool. As long as you have the curriculum with you, that's an RNN standard. If Anne is going to walk in, she's going to want to see that you have your lesson plan ready and available in case something happens. I just find it easier. I printed out the entire Unit 1. For every grade, I put it in a binder because I teach the whole school, and I bring it with me, and it's right next to my seating charts, so that I have kids' names, what they're doing that day, it's all together in one binder, I bring it with me. I also have my sort of shorthand interpretation of that lesson, because that's a lot of words on that page, and maybe you just need a snippet. So I take whatever that lesson is. Here's a good example. I have the classes coming in, my activities, part 1, 2, 3. There's usually 3 songs, so I just write down the songs. And then I have my second class that's coming in, my third class is coming in, my fourth class, goes on and on. So I basically rewrite those lessons in super shorthand as quick notes, in the order that I'm going to teach them. Because it can be hard and really confusing, and I learned that first couple weeks that flipping through and reading, it's great, but it becomes a little daunting. So I have, this is my blue school, my El Granada school, it's got my keep it in your cubby. It also becomes your subfolder. You call it sick. Your substitute can come in, pull your folder out. They know the classes that you teach and the order you teach them. They know how many students they're going to see in that class. They're going to expect 41 kindergartners, because there's 41 kindergartners enrolled. And I also include my seating charts so that they can call students by names and mark the ones that are not behaving. So super important, we need to make one of these and keep it at each school. I color code them, so I'm just kind of organized. You can do whatever you want with that one. You can also do them in a little folder. Then, at the end of the class, I don't do it with kindergartners. I do it with first grade to fifth grade. I have a star chart. I'll have every kid's name, teacher's name, grade. At the end of class, I choose 2 students. You are doing such a great job, rule number 1, listening. I really like that. We're going to be a superstar. We start on the chart. At the end of the quarter, report card time, they get a pencil. And they go bananas to be star chart. They are bananas crazy to be on star chart. It takes a lot of time to make a star chart. That's just my classroom management skill. During the class, if I see someone who's doing a great job, wow, this person is being a star. I might give them a star right there, or I might call them out on their star behavior. Or if a student is misbehaving, I'll often say, how can we turn this behavior into star behavior? How can you earn a star by the end of this class? And I have one school where I have my own space and I have them all displayed, and they love going up and looking for their stars. Okay, let's talk about how to read a lesson plan. Because they're all color coordinated and whatnot. So I printed out on top, the first page is a detailed lesson plan. For Unit 1, every lesson, K through 8, you're going to get a detailed lesson plan. It goes through each point, it kind of guides you through how to say something, how to sing something. And the second page is the quick overview of that lesson plan. And I just printed out the first one. So these 2 pages, the first 2 pages, are the same as this chunk of the 3rd page. It's just condensed. Then the 3rd page is the song attachment that goes with the lesson plan. So you have K, unit, you got your standards. Always kind of read through your standards so you kind of have an idea of what your concept that your kind of teaches. Sometimes you're like, why am I singing this song? Oh yeah, I love voices. Let's really reinforce that with these specific type of instruments. At one of my schools, I've got org instruments. For that lesson, I'll pull out the big bass org and the little tiny singular one, and I'll have the kids close their eyes and they can hear the difference. That would be an extension with the materials I have available to reinforce the concept. So we've got your expectations. Right here, the first highlighted portion of the first section says, "It's so good to see you, K86. So if you're like, gosh, I just don't understand how to sing this, that means it comes from Spotlight, the Spotlight book, and you can go through your music downloads in your iPod and find the listening version. If you're like, I just can't figure out how to sing this song, I want a little more information about it, open this up. We get our curriculum from these books. So it tells you in maybe a different way how to teach the same lesson, or an accompanied song if you want to extend it to reinforce that concept. Maybe, I'm not a big fan of the owl song, so I'll do this one instead. It reinforces the same concept. So these are big heavy books that we make you take, but they're really useful. You guys both taught the Spotlight before?
No, a different curriculum, but I just taught
Straight out of the book, yeah. So you know, like, our curriculum is based off Spotlight, but with a lot of add-ins. So if you're just having a struggle with a song that you just don't like, don't do that song and do one that maybe you found in the book. Then we've got, let's see, there's a few mistakes in the curriculum. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is actually on page 265 instead of 103 as it says, the next song that's highlighted. Get to know how to use the appendix.
All the sheet music is still on the website. It's been uploaded.
Yeah.
So the sheet music will match the lesson. You don't really need to use the books for the ones that are already in the lesson.
Yeah. But getting to know how to use the appendix. Fine. Okay, then you've got the blue. The blue highlighted. That means that it is an attachment, not in your books. So it should be found as an attachment in the curriculum that you find on the website. So don't go searching for owl songs in Spotlight because it doesn't exist. And then, let's see. We've got, at the bottom of the C, the second one, it says down in the valley. That doesn't come from the Spotlight. That comes from this binder. You guys all should have taken this binder. And these are swinging games. The first half of it is called Jump Jim Joe. And you'll see the big tab. It's the second half that says down in the valley. And they have appendixes like that. It's just your song, how to sing it, and the game to explain a little more detail. So if your song says page number, that is coming from the Spotlight. If it says Down in the Valley or Jump Jim Joe, it comes from this white binder, which you should have grabbed. If you didn't, we'll figure that out. If it's blue highlighted, it's an attachment. Any questions? Yeah. So, does anybody have any questions about the lesson plan, how to teach the lesson?
For that one, you just use the speaking voice for how you know you're not actually continue to use the speaking voice.
I think the recording, the speaker I have doesn't work. So it's going to play the recording, but it doesn't work. So you can sing it, you can speak it, whatever your preference is. You have the singing voice and you want to display that, sing it.
What is in your speed board?
It's missing a chord,
Which board? The power board or the red and white board?
the red and white.
Oh, I couldn't get that from the phone. Alright.
So that would be a way that I took the lesson and sort of interpreted it that I felt comfortable. So each lesson you're going to find that these are your lesson bones. Interpret them as you see fit, and that's not saying do whatever you want. Please teach these songs. Please teach these concepts, but teach them in your way. Teach them in your style. Teach them in your setup. Each classroom is going to be different. Each school is going to be so different, and we're going to find that traveling so far around the Bay Area that your schools are going to be different.
So you said the owl song is an attachment.
Right.
So the attachment is
What if the attachment is not there?
it's an owl song, basically.
Also,
Those are questions for
Okay.
me.
Okay.
I'm doing all of what it is.
I also brought flash drives. A flash drive. So when I started 3 years ago, a lot of this wasn't online. We got flash drives with folders of all the stuff, and you just load it on. So if you have your computer, you can load it on right now. So you can load the entire curriculum on if you want to do it right now. Because when I'm traveling around, you might not have internet access. That's why in particular I bought paper, because trying to figure out, oh, my iPad died, I can't get it online, the information I need is online, I can't print it out because there's no cord to print it out. I'm just more particular. So if anybody wants a hard copy to put on their computer, You just plug it in, and it's Rhythm Moves file, put it on your desktop. Copy on your desktop.
So if you don't get to part 3, do you do that the next lesson, or do you just kind of leave it in the?
You can lead into it, yeah. The following lesson, if you look at the overview, it says lesson 1, and it prints out the first part of lesson 2. You can see how the first lesson is taking the same songs and transitioning into the second lesson.
Okay.
So maybe you want to reinforce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You didn't get to the owl song. You want to start with that owl song, same concept.
Okay.
A lot of it, lessons are scaffold.
Okay.
Joe, you did this last year. Would you like to share anything?
You mean about like the lessons or?
Well, just like how you went through the lessons, maybe something that you wish had been described more to you that first 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, the first 2 weeks it was kind of like a little bit of trial and error, especially with like the setup. Because I also had some people, supervisors with me, and they would come in and say, well, we could try this setup, try that setup. So it's kind of a lot of trial and error. But lessons are pretty straightforward, and then I noticed like the next student, and they give you a little bit less like exactly what you're supposed to be doing, which kind of helps you come up with your own stuff. So it's kind of like it helps you right in the beginning, getting kind of used to how the format of Rhythm Moves works, and then you can sort of make up your own transitions and things like that.
For me, it was a little bit too much to try and like, so what I did was I took the concept and the song and just did it in my own way, following the structure. And that was much better for me getting into it that way than trying to do it exactly as it says. My first lesson, I just dropped everything and I just did something else because I was not comfortable with the songs. I didn't know them very well, so it was much harder to teach them,
So if we're going to do this in a classroom where you don't have this big space, fabulous. I put the same order, but I put the buckets on the desk. I try and choose students who fire students who will knock the door, obviously. And I kind of end up teaching a lot of the lessons with the students still on their chairs. And they do a really good job of sort of making a game about maneuvering chairs. I try and be respectful to the classroom teacher about not moving the desks and chairs around a whole lot, because it gets loud if you're in a private school. Sometimes the principal will come in and be way too loud. So, making games about trying to figure out how to manipulate your space. It can be fun. Always try and challenge yourself to adapt the lesson that you're going to teach maybe 5 times, same lesson 5 times, in 5 different spaces, with 5 different communities. Don't be afraid of that adaptation. You're not going to be in your room with your board, your star chart, your space. So, that's about it. So on Thursday, there's going to be a section just for you guys. And what Heather and I are going to ask you to do is go through Unit 1, pick a grade. If you're like really awesome about 8th grade, choose 8th grade. Just pick a grade, take the first lesson of that grade, and really get it down. And then tomorrow we're going to come in and watch you teach that lesson. So tomorrow you're going to come up here, pick your favorite grade, lesson 1, and we're going to watch you teach it. That way you can sort of go through the lesson, if you have questions, if you don't know the song, you get to use your equipment, that kind of thing. Any questions about that? Joe?
How fast are we pacing these lessons? Because each one of us is going to do a half-hour lesson.
Well, I did a half-hour lesson in about 14 minutes.
We have 50 minutes let's try 12 minutes each. 12 to 15. Did anyone already choose the grade level? No.
It's not working.
It's okay, here, I told you I would email all of those. I will email them right now.
I tried. Oh wait, no.
Okay.
I was like, I have floppy disk and everything. It's awesome.
We're gonna be in this space for.
Yes, we're going to make the space for all music sessions.
Can I do some creative Casey rhythms tomorrow?
You want to do Casey rhythms?
This is-
Rock on. Okay.
Because I feel like I'm confident, like reasonably confident with like Casey vibes. I used Spotlight with them before, but I haven't done it with Casey rhythm stuff.
Oh, cool.
Great.
Trail spirit there.
I would rather do it with you guys first than walking to a group of 6th graders and be like, hi, I've never done this before. And
That's
it's
exactly what this is for.
So,
Yeah, that would be great.
Would anybody like me to do? We've got about 10 more minutes. Does anybody want me to do another quick lesson? Different grade?
We actually don't have about time.
Oh, we don't go to 11?
Yeah, it's 15 minutes. We have to have a little bit of break from energy.
So when you say spots, do you have like poly spots out for each of the kids? Or?
Yes. Thank you. Oh, spots, I mean just their bottom sits in their own little personal space. I always carry 2 poly spots and I put them out in the back of the room or maybe near the door over there, red, green. If you have a kid that is just having trouble with their day, whatever that is, I say, please put your Pengrazi style. Please put your spot, bottom on green spot. And if they're having a hard time on green spot, okay, it's time to go to red spot. Go to red spot. So, I do it in the same style as Pengrazi, no confrontation. It's just, I need you to go to green spot. Maybe, and I'll tell them the action, and I will walk away. And usually they go to green spot. They'll be huffy about it, but they go. And it also gives them direction, because sometimes I found before I didn't do spots, they'll go to the door-ish, or they'll go out the door, they don't get it. So the spots take a big sort of landmark. Forgot about that. But when I say go to your music spots, it's just an imaginary little, my bottom sits here. So I also gave you guys a copy of this. Make more if you want. Throw them away if you don't. And then I read these guys over the summer. I got them from the library. This one was really helpful connecting with my urban child mindset and really getting my brain geared to how my language is interpreted by students who live in poverty. I didn't grow up in poverty, but I teach a lot. I have taught a lot of students who grow up in poverty, and it is hard to put your head in that mindset. So if you guys want to look at it,